Aloha, movie nerds. Welcome to Why It's Great. I'm your host, Matthew Salanoa, and I made this podcast to celebrate movies and what makes them great. Welcome back to Why It's Great. I'm your host, Matthew Salanoa. Very happy to bring this podcast back, my original podcast. Today, I want to get into one of my favorite movies of all time, and definitely one of my favorite superhero films of all time. Spider-Man 2002, directed by Sam Raimi, written by David Keopp and Alvin Sargent, starring Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, Willem Dafoe, James Franco, Rosemary Harris, and Cliff Robertson. I want to talk about the four stories of Spider-Man and why this movie, as a storyteller, as a piece of storytelling, stands the test of time. There's a reason that the people who are diehard about it are diehard for it. And I'm not trying to say this with any disrespect to any of the other Spider-Man iterations. Andrew Garfield's movies aren't for me. And I do like Tom Holland's movies. I like Tom Holland as Spider-Man. But when it comes down to it, when it comes to the pure storytelling, what gets you through a movie is how you feel about a character and what they go through. That's what storytelling is. It's about a character who confronts adversity in some form or another. And literally, how do they confront it and how they deal with it and how do they grow across that movie? In the case of Spider-Man himself, when Sam Raimi approached the storytelling of this movie, he had a specific notion. Laura Ziskin talks about this on the commentary. Sam Raimi wanted the storytelling of the movie to be like Melrose Place.
And Sam had said even early on that he wanted this, I guess, 90210.
He's very soap opera.
Yeah, that he wanted these teenage relationships to be moving, in a parallel line with the superhero story.
In a lot of these TV shows, you've all these relationships going on. As these relationships get tighter and things get more difficult, that's what also increases the drama across the story. And this is also very true to how Spider-Man goes through all of his relationships, both in the comics and in the cartoons. I am not as familiar with the comics, but I grew up on the 90s cartoon, which was amazing. When I would later go back and check out the Amazing Fantasy number 15, the tone is very consistent. Spider-Man's actually not making jokes back then. And I even got the first 12 issues. Spider-Man, he's exactly what Sam Raimi is presenting in the movies in those initial runs of Spider-Man. He was just a very relatable guy struggling with things. And sort of the first story of Spider-Man, we all know, and I believe this is the best translation of Stan Lee's initial work. It's really extremely faithful to Amazing Spider-Man number 15, although it does sort of draw things out and tell them in a perfect dramatic way to get each point hit across. But, we all know the story. Peter Parker, he's bullied, not popular. He's a huge nerd. He loves science and technology, but that's not winning him any points with the ladies or making him any friends. He gets bitten by a radioactive spider, starts developing his abilities. He tries to make some money using his powers. In the film version, he's not being paid enough.
$100. The ad said 3,000.
In the original version, he is Spider-Man for some time, not letting anyone know what he's doing. But in both versions, he lets a criminal go who has robbed his workplace.
What the hell's the matter with you? You let him go.
And, he's Spider-Man at this point. He has superpowers, super strength. He shoots webs. He has every bit of the ability to do something about this particular crime. And he does nothing. In both cases of comic book and movie, it's ego. In the case of the comic book, it's pure ego. He just doesn't care. The world has molded him into this very selfish person. And that very much is stressed in the film when he's not paid enough because, yes, he dressed up as a colorful character and he won a wrestling match against Randy Savage. Bonesaw McGraw. Yes, he did these things and he won, but he didn't do it in exactly the way that the contest said.
He said $3,000 for 3 minutes, and you pinned him in 2.
So he does not get the full amount of money.
I need that money. I missed the part where that's my problem.
This gives him a chip on his shoulder, which again, out of ego, out of this sick need for like sticking it to the man, this version of Peter Parker lets the robber go.
You could have taken that guy apart. Now he's going to get away with my money. I missed the part where that's my problem.
I love Tobey's face here. He's a sinner. He's like pride and anger and rule. You see a look in his face there that you won't see anywhere else in the picture. He's full of himself, feels his own bitter justice has been served. It's a sin he'll end up paying for the rest of his life.
And this ends up costing him his uncle's life. In the comic book, months go by. Dramatically, it's far more interesting that he comes right outside. The consequence happens immediately. He doesn't know the connection yet, but it forces him to really practice this web slinging, giving us that amazing, harrowing first web sequence where he really learns to web sling. And in Sam Raimi's direction, he wanted this to be this awkward spider dance that both Spider-Man and the cameraman get better at the same exact time across that fight scene. That just as another piece of storytelling, this sequence begins with Spider-Man not being good at web swinging and ends with him being functionally good at web swinging.
Arthur Coburn was insistent, one of my editors, that we had to track his progression, that he had to have, as far as his development of grace, he had to be as awkward as possible in this early sequence to sell it. I thought that was a great idea.
The action is absolutely part of the storytelling. Like, the action scene isn't just there to be a fun, cute scene. Every single scene is an opportunity to tell the story. And then he gets the revelation, oh my God, the guy who shot Uncle Ben is the same guy I let run outside of the wrestling ring. I am responsible for letting him go. Thus, I am responsible for Uncle Ben's death. And beginning the great secret that he carries and the great guilt that he carries. And this has so much meaning to Spider-Man as to why he wears the Spider-Man mask. Just a little analysis here. Like, every time he puts on that mask, he's going back to the night he let a criminal go that killed his uncle. So every time he puts on that mask, he is getting an opportunity to do the right thing that he didn't do the first time he put on the mask. That's a huge element of the character that this movie absolutely nails. That every time he's Spider-Man, he's fighting the night that he can never get back, where the first time he was Spider-Man, he could have done something that would have saved his uncle's life. And now forever, every opportunity, he puts on that mask so he can fight that version of himself that was just so selfish. This is a full, healthy movie that has a complete character's life being told, you know? This is a type of storytelling you don't get with every movie. Not only are we getting this great journey of a man learning to accept the responsibility that he has with the power that he has, but also we have a love story where across the movie, he's hopelessly in love with Mary Jane Watson, and he's a little afraid to talk to her, but over the course of the movie, he's taking his little chances, trying to get to know her and let her know how much he genuinely cares about her. By the end of the movie, he's won Mary Jane's love. He's told her how he felt. He's faced off the Green Goblin, saved her from the dragon. These stories are still fairy tales, right? These superhero stories are still, this is the guy who pulled the sword out of the stone, blessed by the gods with a special piece of technology, or like Heracles, you were born with it, and you've got to fight the dragon. You've got to fight the Hydra. You have to battle something in order to either prove your worth or make up for something or save someone you care about in order to cement who it is that you are.
We are who we choose to be. Now choose.
and also save the world. So at the end of the movie, finds out Green Goblin is Norman Osborn, Harry's dad, who he met at the beginning of the movie. They had this kind of father-son thing going on. At the very least, Willem Dafoe wanted the father-son thing to happen. And Tobey, rightfully so, playing it kind of like, well, I'm still kind of missing my uncle right now, so I can't just take you on as a father figure. And I got my own shit going on, man. But, they have all these scenes where Willem Dafoe's Norman Osborn is clearly trying to be a presence in Peter's life.
Your parents must be very proud. I know this has been a difficult time for you.
Pete, you're probably looking for a job now, right?
I'll make a few calls.
And again, that's another story that I'm going to be talking about. But this particular journey is Spider-Man's that I'm talking about. So when we reach the end, he learns Norman Osborn is Green Goblin, and Green Goblin tries to kill him one last time. Spider-Man jumps out of the way. Goblin gets, impaled by his own glider.
This shot of Willem coming up is actually shot later. You can tell because he was already in another show, and he had to wear a wig. It's more like the David Bowie of Green Goblins.
And Goblin's last lines are,
Peter, don't tell Harry.
"Don't tell Harry."
The reason we did that shot was we wanted him to say, "Don't tell Harry."
Yeah.
Rather than it being an act of kindness that Peter performs, not telling Harry. We wanted him to fulfill the last wish of Norman Osborn, this man who had been the surrogate father to him, so that he had an obligation out of friendship to perform these last acts, like to keep this dark secret.
And so Peter has not only learned across this movie the nature of his responsibility. Now, I can't tell my closest thing I have to a brother, my best friend, Harry, I can't tell him that his dad is this monster, not just because it would be a kind thing to not let him know, but specifically because his father requested it. And so he's leaving this movie realizing that because the Green Goblin figured out that he was Spider-Man, that put MJ in danger. Now he can't even get any closer to his best friend because the consequences of "don't tell Harry." He's got a specific duty to the father to let his son still think something positive about him in his death. And that's a heavy weight to put on a character at the end of this story. And I do think originally things were supposed to work out between Peter and MJ, but to me, it still feels right.
I will always be your friend.
Only your friend?
Even though it doesn't feel ideal, it still feels right based on everything that's happened in the movie. I mean, Green Goblin blew up his aunt, tried to kill him multiple times. Tried to kill Mary Jane. It's like all those things for the character going through it are only going to tell him one thing. People can't know about me, and I should keep my distance from people, which is what he does in part 2. Spider-Man 2, I think, is really part 2. It's just as much as Superman 1 and 2 are really 2 parts of the same story. That's how I feel about Spider-Man 1 and 2, is that these are 2 parts of the same story, and Spider-Man 2 is about all the consequences of everything that's happened in 1, but also the consequences of this life. Spider-Man 2 is just picking up those pieces of, oh, I've got to keep my distance because if anyone finds out I'm Spider-Man, they're all in danger. So I might as well stay as far away from everyone I care about as I can, just in case. That decision is made here at the end of this movie when Mary Jane confesses her love, realizing that he's always been there for her.
There's only one man who's always been there for me.
I'll get into it more when I talk about her story. Her speech, it's really great. It's perfectly performed by Kirsten Dunst.
I love you. I love you so much, Peter.
his response, I know it breaks everyone's heart. Most people who see the movie, like, I love the movie, but then you get to that ending. Really? You spent the whole movie pining after it, and you're not going to. But if you really think about the movie from the character's point of view, what he saw was, my aunt almost died.
Aunt May, what happened?
Those eyes, those horrible yellow eyes.
He knows who I am.
The girl I love literally was picked up because it's known that I like her.
Can Spider-Man come out to play?
I can't even trust the people around me because my best friend's dad.
Norman, will you do the honors?
Is the Green Goblin that I've been fighting this whole movie.
MJ and I, we're gonna have a hell of a time.
When you see it from his point of view, it absolutely makes sense why he would do that. You know, there's nothing in me that doubts the ending of this movie, because even Peter Parker's like, damn, like, I got what I wanted, but I can't have it. This is the double jeopardy. I finally got what I want. She loves me, and it's possible. But if I am with her, she is in the most possible danger. I cannot let her get in danger again because selfishly I love her. And at the same time, you know, he's got this final confrontation with Harry, which is Harry saying, Spider-Man killed my dad.
One day Spider-Man will pay. I swear on my father's grave, Spider-Man will pay.
With that being the exact scene that precedes this scene.
Only your friend, Peter Parker.
He knows, like, if I hook up with you and you are dating him and he wants to kill me, this is not going to be good.
You knew this was coming, Pete.
He will probably hurt you because of A, jealousy that I got with you, and then B, that he wants to hurt me because he thinks I killed his dad. So that scene just preceded that scene. So you look at it from the character's point of view, it makes perfect sense why he made that choice. And it's the most Spider-Man thing to do. This story is so full of drama, melodrama. You're watching Spider-Man learn his powers, but in a very natural way where every character involved is necessary. Every single scene is building up Peter Parker's skill. So the storytelling is constantly moving. Every single scene is moving forward Peter Parker's skill set, building his relationships with people.
Why so interested?
I'm not.
You're not?
Or tearing them down.
And I know I'm not your father. And stop pretending to be.
With Norman Osborn, it's a rise and fall. Start of the movie, oh my God, nice to meet you, Peter.
I read all your research on nanotechnology.
And you understood. Impressive.
Oh, you understand my science? Oh, that's wonderful. Nobody does, you know, especially not my son, who sucks. He can't stay in a single school. He sucks.
Peter, the Science Award. That's terrific.
Yeah.
My son is lame, you know, and that's the Green Goblin side. It starts off with this high praise and affection for Peter, and ultimately devolves into, wait a minute, Peter, you're Spider-Man. You're my enemy now. And for Peter to realize, like, even a close relationship is a potentially dangerous relationship in more ways than one, whether it's the person being in danger or that person becoming a dangerous person. So Peter is learning a lot of life lessons in this first movie, as well as just growing himself. And that by itself, that's just one story in this movie. That's why this movie works, is because it's telling the story of Spider-Man, his growth as a character, his growth with his powers, his growth in his relationships, and an entire rise and fall of a relationship, as well as the movie ending with the cliffhanger knowledge that his best friend will someday attempt to take revenge on him. The only thing is that he doesn't know he's Spider-Man. So keeping his secret becomes twice as important. So that's the first story of Spider-Man, and that by itself would make a great movie. Just his side of it makes a great movie. But if you stick around and watch part two, I'm going to talk about Mary Jane's side of the story. Next week, I'll have part 2 for you. So hope to see you there.